Welcome back to the channel, guys. We got a lot of rain yesterday, so you know what that means. We're going to test out this, what I'm calling mud drag truck again. I have taken a walk out there already, and it's not as wet and as sloppy as the last time we tested this truck out, but I'm hoping it'll still hook. I went ahead today and changed out that spur gear and the pinion gear. Like I talked about, we're checking out some new gearing options. Funny enough, I actually had a 78 tooth spur gear that I found in my bin, and I already had a bunch of pinions. So now we're running a 25 tooth pinion and a 78 tooth spur, hoping for one, that'll actually tone down the launch a little bit, a little less torque, and maybe let us get off the line, especially now that it's not as wet out, and also give us a little more top speed, being that we're geared a little higher. You may be able to hear behind me outside right now that it's pretty windy, so I don't think you'll be able to hear me speaking as I'm making passes, but we'll come back and do a little bit of talking over some of these runs and seeing how the truck performs today. I started off the same way we did last time with just some really short hits just to see if we had traction, where we had traction at, and unfortunately it was pretty obvious early what kind of day we were gonna have. Unfortunately, even with all of the rain we got, the dirt was just a little too hard packed before, so even though yesterday this was soaking wet, the ground soaked it up really quickly. So as you can see here, the truck kind of launches all right, but then those paddles get on top of the dirt and there's no traction for it to keep pulling. I decided to try to just ease into it a couple of times just to see what kind of speeds we could get with this new gearing. I was able to see 32 miles an hour, which is pretty good for an easing in pull with as rough as the headland is right now, but I was kind of determined to still look for some better spots to maybe get some better pulls in. Unfortunately, even the spots that I was able to find that were pretty soft and I figured the truck could really dig in and get a good launch, as soon as it got out of that spot, once again the paddles would jump on top of that dirt and we didn't have enough traction for me to keep the throttle down. Another big issue, as you can see here, when we finally lost the body, there's a lot of what I'm calling little river ruts in the headland, basically the water running through the headland, and this makes for a pretty rough ride for the truck. Even when you do get a pretty good pass going at speed, these little ruts will launch this truck in the air, and after a few times my rear body mount broke again. But before I call it a day, something else I just wanted to try. There's a pretty nice sized little puddle, lake, pond, whatever you want to call it, in my yard with paddle tires. We see it a lot. I wanted to see if we could get this truck to hydroplane, and for what it's worth, I don't think it did too bad of a job. I actually did make a couple of 66-foot passes running the truck through the grass and through the water here, and got up to 30 miles an hour one time, which is pretty cool. I definitely wish I would have came out here and did this yesterday when there was a whole lot more water in my yard. I might have gotten wet, but I believe it probably would have made for some pretty cool shots. So unfortunately, we have a early into our day. This is not the way I planned for this video to go. I do see some promise in that new gearing. Like I said, 32 miles an hour right off the bat right there. Pretty fast. And I even have some more gearing options I could go with. It seems like this truck is definitely at home in the mud. It really needs to be nice and muddy, have a really loose surface to be able to grab with those paddle tires. Really wish I had some sand to get out to really try this in the sand, but for now we'll keep going with the mud. I think the next time you see this truck, we're actually gonna tear it mostly apart, because now it's been in the water twice and those bearings are starting to get a little crunchy. So I think I'm gonna pull this truck completely apart next. We'll go through all of those bearings, clean them up, freshen them up, lube them up, and throw this truck back together again. Let me know what you wanna see more of with the mud drag truck, I guess we'll call it now. Do you want to see it more in the mud? Do you want to see more of that hydroplaning? Whenever it rains a good bit here, I get a good bit of water in my yard at the moment. That could be a really good, fun possibility in the near future. But I'm curious to see what you guys would like to see. Leave a comment down below. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. It really helps out the channel. And as always, thanks again for watching. Peace.